The format of this meeting is a 10-minute speaker, a 10-minute coffee break, and then a main speaker. Tonight, our first speaker is Noreen. Help me welcome Noreen to the stage.
Minutes. I'm Noreen and I'm an alcoholic. Ryan, I love your enthusiasm. And I want you to 12-step my son. Please. Oh, that's Al-Anon. Sorry. Outside issue. I'm Noreen Alcoholic. My home group is 12-Stepping Sisters in Tucson, Arizona. And I am really, really grateful to be here. And me coming up here to talk is really a God thing because I work in Tucson. And when my husband said, hey, come on up to Tucson with me, I said, I'm working. Can't do that. Well, anyway, yesterday was probably one of the worst days of my life. My little dog, I had to put my dog down. 12 years old, my little dog, and I mean it. I know what heartache is. You know, and this dog was the greatest dog ever. And I haven't cried like that in a really, really long time. And, you know, I only have 10 minutes to share, so I'll just qualify real briefly. I am an alcoholic. When I drank, I was a pig. I did everything that I swore that I would never do to get a drink. You know, once I started drinking at age 13, I couldn't stop. All I cared about from age 13 or 14 to when I quit drinking when I was 28, from the time of 14 to 28, I didn't accomplish anything. And I ruined everybody's life. I stole from everybody who came in range of me. Because I was also really lazy. And, you know, there was such a duality, you know, in my life, you know, because I was born and raised in Phoenix. You know, I had little cool little Irish parents, you know, they're off the boat, you know, and they were the only Irish couple I ever knew who did not drink. You know, but really early on, I was fascinated with drinking. I liked the allure. I liked the conviviality. I loved the excitement. And ironically, my first drunk that I ever had was in Ireland. I went out and met up with my cousins, and we stole a bunch of alcohol. And my first couple beers, it was wonderful. I passed out in some cow dung, and I vomited all over the place, and I could not wait to do it again, you know, and that was it. You know, I was off to the races. And I have one Prescott story, because like I said, I grew up in Phoenix, and this was like 1974. So we rented a Winnebago, and we were going to come up here for 4th of July. And we were going to watch the Cowboys, and we were going to watch. I wanted to sneak in and drink at, you know, the Palace. And we got to the Palace, and it was like 10 rows deep to try to get some alcohol. And all we did was get some beer and sit in an RV and get drunk for 3 days. We never saw the rodeo. We never saw anything, because what that tells me is that all I cared about was drinking. You know, and I didn't like the label of, you know, being Irish and being really strong in the Irish community in Phoenix. There were a lot of alcoholics, and so I got the label. First of all, an alcoholic was a man, and he brought shame to the family. The family didn't talk about him, and they were an embarrassment. So when all of a sudden it comes around that I might be an alcoholic, I thought, there's no way. I don't fit that description. I didn't fit the description. And my bottom, you know, my last drunk was August 22nd, 1986. And I was raring and tearing. And I was drinking as much alcohol that I could get. And the perverse thing that happened to me was that I could not get drunk. I also did a lot of go fast, Peruvian marching powder that allowed me to drink more. And the worst thing that happened was I could not get where I wanted to go. I drank for 18 hours, and I couldn't get where I was. And then the worst thing that happened was I had the physical craving that I couldn't stop. And I just said, and I never, when I hear in meetings that people say, I thought about quitting and I knew I had a problem. I never, ever thought I had a problem. Never, ever. Except for I made a big mistake. I said a prayer and God answered. And I just said, God, I can't do this anymore. And you guys, my compulsion to drink left me at that moment. And so I've been sober since August 23rd, 1986. I got sober when I was 28. So are there any 28-ish people in here? Yeah. I'm sober 32 years. And so the other thing that's happened, so anyway, so I was forced to go to AA. Oh my God, I hated it. But I didn't like looking different, so I raised my hand and said, I'm an alcoholic, even though I didn't believe it. And it was something that Kirk was speaking about when it says you have to fully concede to your innermost self that you're an alcoholic. So I could be sitting up here and what you're hearing is, wah, 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 wah. It really is the fully conceding to your innermost self. So I was 9 months sober. I was 9 months sober when I just had the realization, oh my God, I really am an alcoholic. And it was a bummer. Because then I was really sad, because once I really admitted it, it was like, there's no going back. There's no going back. It comes out. And, to kind of fast forward a little bit, throughout my entire sobriety, there have been periods, and I'm sure some of you guys, I felt like I am sentenced to AA. Like, who did I piss off? Because I have to go to those meetings. I was like, oh my God, if I go to another meeting, I'm just going to choke. And all these happy people. And I ate more pie and coffee than I care to admit. I'm like, fuck. And, back then, now, you always hear, back then they made us clean ashtrays, But they were really hard about getting a service commitment and being active. And what I really appreciated from Ryan today was that you guys greeted us. You didn't know who we were. But what a wonderful group. And that's the joy of being a member of AA, is a group welcomes you, And the other thing, just real quick, is I have a big ego. And I had a big ego, too, when I was so newly sober. And so I thought, oh, my God, I have to be around these people. And then I heard I had to get a sponsor. So I'd go, would you be my sponsor? And I got turned down twice. So I want to tell you guys, I do not do well with rejection. So my first year of sobriety, I did not have a sponsor. So that's why the other thing about the joy of being a member of Alcoholics Anonymous is I also have a responsibility as well as what you guys did, which is, so each one of you guys, each one of those members talked about recovery from alcoholism and fun and joy of being sober in meetings. So I listened to you, and I did what you guys said. I didn't have a sponsor. And then I knew I had to do the steps. And then I remember being at a meeting, and I kind of came out of my fog, and I said, made direct amends to such people wherever possible. And I said, does that mean I have to pay people back? And they're like, oh, yeah. And I'm like, oh, my God. I mean, I was like ready to run out because, I didn't like to work very hard. And like I said, I stole from my parents, I stole from my family, I stole from my friends, I stole from my employers. So I had the duality of, first of all, facing those people and then making it right. But what I watched was the people who looked happy and the people who looked light, like they didn't have a care in the world, were doing the deal. And I'll tell you, life has happened to me. I'm 60 years old. And stuff that I thought that I'd never stay sober through has happened, and the thought of a drink has never occurred to me, ever. I have never, ever thought about drinking. I've thought about killing myself, but you know what I mean? But the thing is that everything that's happened in my life, and everything bad that's happened in my life has been temporary. But I'll tell you, there hasn't been a situation in my life that I have not gotten through with a solution in AA. And that's either doing the steps or doing service or just talking to God. It says here, no human power can relieve our alcoholism. I'm really strong on that these days. And there's a beautiful line in Working with Others that says, if you're to find God, the desire must come from within. And once I found my own God, my own higher power, which is now like the mountains and everything, it's a very comforting feeling because my parents have died. Both my kids that I had in sobriety they're living their mother's life. It's tough. When it says self-knowledge avails you nothing. I cannot 12-step my kids. They got to come in here when they want to come in here. And that's hard. And then like yesterday, when my dog died, my sweet little Boston Terrier. It is true heartache. And I used to drink and drink to kill pain. I used to drink to get over the shame of stuff I did. I drank for every possible reason. And now today, staying sober and doing what's suggested in AA, and I just so you guys know, congratulations to the gentleman who got 90 days. You and I work the same program. There's no different program. It's the same thing. We don't graduate. And it really is an honor to be able to come up here and share with you how wonderful life is being sober, because there's not any problem that I haven't ever got through. And I'll close with this. So, my first drunk was in Ireland. And I got to speak at Uripa. I know you guys are all YPA people. Are YPA? I got to speak at the second YPA in Dublin. It was called Uripa. And everything they said was fucking brilliant. But my sweet boyfriend at the time was able to give me my 25-year chip in Dublin. So I kind of came full circle. I got drunk in Ireland, and I got to celebrate with all the little Irish and European alcoholics. It was fucking brilliant. Thank you.